This is Steve Britton. Today I'm grieving the loss of my golden retriever, Lucky. 13 and a half years old, so we were blessed to have him that long. He was a great dog. And in fact, over on my blog, Ridgel's Originals, I write about why I loved Lucky. But what I want to do here is tell you some things that Lucky taught me about Jesus. Now, if you've watched any of my channel very much, you know that I look at situations in life and try to get Jesus lessons. One is because I need to always be finding things that help me be closer to Jesus, know Jesus better. But two, to share those things with people. And I think that's how Jesus taught. He looked at life and said, here's things you learn about me, my Father, the kingdom. So here are some things I learned from Lucky over the years about Jesus. When we got him as a puppy, we debated what to name him. And it was a great story how we got him. We had lost a golden and weren't going to buy another one. And we budgeted a certain amount of money if we did ever buy another dog. And it was about half what purebred Goldens go for. But a good friend had golden retriever puppies and sold it to us for exactly what we had budgeted. That reminds me that God hears our prayers and answers prayers. It reminds me to pray about everything, even how much we can spend for a dog. It was also interesting because that family connection, that good friend connection, was from a job I used to have selling ads for a phone book with Bill. And Bill and I, when much of the sales team would go hang out other places at night, we'd go to restaurants, eat cheeseburgers, and talk about Jesus. And when my wife called, not knowing who had the ad, she just said, is this the lady? My name's Marcia Ridgel. Is this the lady with golden retrievers? And Bill's wife, Jill, said, Marcia Ridgel, are you Steve's wife? To which my wife said, maybe, why? And then she told about Bill and I working together, and she said they wanted their dog to go to a good home. Now, we'd seen a lot of ads for golden retrievers. It was that day, Marcia said, I just felt like I ought to call. You know, pay attention to those kind of things. Is that the Holy Spirit? And would God possibly care about a dog? Maybe. I think God cares a whole lot about everything in our life. I think God made dogs. He made us. I think God knows dogs bring joy. So all those things were important. Then we got ready to name him, and our little 2-year-old granddaughter was holding him in her lap, and we were talking about what to name him. And because of all the circumstances, I wanted to say something that reflected God's gift, but do I call him Providence? But I couldn't imagine myself running out in the yard and going, Providence, get back here right now. That just didn't sound quite right. And my little granddaughter said, well, let's call him Lucky. And I was going to explain how this is not luck. God does things. Till my wife gave me that look that said, let's hear what she says. And my little granddaughter said this, we're lucky God gave him to us, and he's lucky God gave him to us. Let's just call him Lucky. And so for all those years, we called him Lucky, which reminded us it was God's gift. Sometimes you need those reminders. I don't know how it quite happened, but one morning I was getting ready to go preach. I was sitting on the couch dressed to preach, and Lucky walked over and put his paw up on my hand and bowed his head. So just because I thought I ought to, I prayed right then. And then every time I would get in preaching clothes and sit down, Lucky would come over, sit down, put his paw up on me and bow his head. Strangest thing, we didn't train him to do that. He did that often with me, and I just made the rule. Every time he did that, I thought it was a sign to pray. He did it with one of my grandsons, our Jake. He did it a couple of times with Jake. Didn't see him do it with the other ones, but I just told Jake if he does that, he wants to pray, so you've got to pray. You know, I like reminders that remind us to pray, and Lucky did that for me often. His name, the circumstances in which we got him, his holding his hand up to pray, how he adored me. He would go anywhere. He always wanted to be by me. Even when he was dying at the end, he would, if he saw me, he would get up and stagger his way toward me. It's kind of what I want to do with God. I want to be near God. I want to stagger my way to be near. When I'm dying, I want to chase God. You know, I don't know how you feel about dogs. We're dog people, so we love dogs. But Lucky also reminded me a lot about Jesus. I hope it reminds you about Jesus too.